So now that I have a working scenery asset, I'm going to add the other textures that I was working on. I'm not going to show you every single one of these because that would take forever and you would get the point by the first one. So I'm going to do the first one here. I'm going to copy all of the files except for the config file from the red Vega. Create a new asset as before. Scenery, class BT, which is a good review for how to build a car. United States, I find it here. (1970s). Vehicle, Chevy Vega. Orange. Yeah, looks like I couldn't decide. Yellow, there we go. Yellows were publicized a little bit more. I don't know what the production numbers were. I have both textures. We get this error message from CCP, Content Creator Plus sometimes, but it doesn't seem to be relevant, actually. It doesn't actually damage anything. Vehicle, Chevy Vega, yellow. We open it in the Explorer, so it's going to need those texture files. The body texture will have to be added because that is the wrong body texture. So delete. To go back to my working folder there, find the yellow texture. So the auto create, copy and paste, same as before. The mesh note is not assigned yet, though. I'm doing the auto create step first this time. So, into Content Creator Plus to assign that mesh to the scenery object. Here's the model, or mesh. There it is. Again, the belly's no good. I'm going to have to figure that out later. So, save it. Create another one. And so on. And so now, we'll take a look at all the ones I created. So we have the blue that you saw earlier. There's the olive that you saw earlier. Here's the orange that I mentioned but didn't do for you in front of you. And then there's the yellow that I just did. So, there we are. I'm struck by the fact that when you line them up like that, they look quite nice even when you have no ground texture. I mean, this is not a real layout. This is a text track that I use for debugging things. So it's not really supposed to look good, but hey. I'm very pleased with how this came out. So anyway, the next step will be to fix that belly texture, or the black texture. I had to work on this for a few days. I couldn't figure out what was the matter with it, and I felt embarrassed that I was doing a tutorial without actually knowing everything I needed to know. Here's my fix. You can see it in Content Creator Plus there. It actually came down to something as simple as the alpha layer, which I wasn't using on the black texture, and so I assumed I didn't need. This follows the general principle in Trainz that you want everything to more or less be the same in your image files. You want them to all be compatible with each other. So there's the red texture. And everything, if you notice in GIMP here in the previews, has an alpha except for the black. You see, here's the red, and you'll see the black doesn't have an alpha, even though the white does. So what I have to do is I have to delete that black texture and replace it with the one from the white, which I just fixed, and the yellow. The yellow I also fixed as a extra precaution, and I also have to get rid of the text files referencing the non-alpha black texture. And I have to move through the line of all the Vegas that I've built to fix this in all of them. So there's the red fixed now. Now I have to move to the others, test them out. I'm going to skip through this to some extent for the sake of not boring you to death. The bottom line is that if one of your textures has an alpha, they all have to have an alpha. That's the bottom line. So it was as simple as that, but often these things are not obvious. So there's the last of the textures for the blue Vega. So now I got to commit all of these, and I will demonstrate in Trainz that in fact this problem is now fixed. So remember that all of your textures for an Trainz scenery object, and presumably anything else for Trainz, have to have more or less the same specifications, even if you don't get any error messages when you export or anything. And that was, of course, part of my problem, is that I didn't get any error messages, and so I didn't know there was anything wrong. So here I'm committing each of them. Okay, so now they're all committed. Now I'll jump into Trainz and take a look at them again. And there we go. All fixed. So now I have a completely working Chevy Vega scenery object. And this has been a rather fun project, and it's not over yet. So thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll have more of this for you soon.